The defense in the Sean Diddy Combs trial is finishing cross-examination of one of the rapper's ex-girlfriends. But first, the judge called a private meeting with the prosecution, defense, and lawyer for the woman testifying as Jane.
Defense attorney Mark Agnifilo argued that they should go on the record with their real name so that when someone hears about testimony who's outside of the trial and they might have information about that testimony, that who's a famous rapper and then went to a hotel room where she saw a male escort named Anton having sex with a woman while that rapper and his girlfriend watched.
It began with a silence so thick you could slice through it. The courtroom lights hummed above, sterile and indifferent, while the nation watched with bated breath. And then it happened. The man who once stood as the impenetrable wall between danger and Sean Diddy. Combs walked to the stand, eyes sunken, voice steady. He wasn't just another witness. He was the insider, the enforcer, the one who had seen it all but had never spoken, until now. Diddy sat motionless at the defense table, his expression a mask of calm. But those who knew him could see it. The tight jaw, the eyes scanning every movement, every breath. This wasn't just a witness testifying. This was a man tearing open the veil of celebrity secrecy, one word at a time. The bodyguard, identified in court as Marcus "Tank" Riggins, cleared his throat and began to speak. The gallery leaned forward. What followed was nothing short of a bombshell. Marcus didn't just deliver testimony, he detonated it. He described backroom dealings at exclusive industry parties, late-night phone calls demanding silence, and hush money exchanges with envelopes thick enough to choke the truth. The court stenographer's hands struggled to keep up. Every sentence from Marcus seemed to crack another layer off the illusion of power and untouchability Diddy had cultivated over decades.
I don't believe that he's snitching on Diddy. He's just going by a plan or something that somebody laid out for him, that he got too deep into it. He never had a proffer agreement. We know now that some of that stuff that Keefe D said, and we heard him state in his book and stuff like that, he just repeated a script. And I don't think he have any concrete proof. They don't have nothing concrete. Because if they had something concrete, they would have been brought Diddy in on it.
He spoke of the threats, veiled and explicit. Former associates, according to Marcus, had gone quiet in ways that weren't natural. A former backup dancer allegedly disappeared after threatening to go public with an altercation involving a well-known artist and Diddy's inner circle. There was no formal investigation, Marcus said, because the dancer's family was suddenly financially taken care of, with a house paid in full just days after she vanished from social media and stopped answering her phone. Gasps echoed through the courtroom. Then came the parties. Not the kind you see on Instagram. These were more secretive, more elite, guarded with NDAs, and surrounded by layers of paid security. Marcus described seeing things he wished he could forget. People under the influence, manipulated by handlers, phones confiscated, and cameras strictly prohibited. Celebrities came and went. But the power dynamic always tilted one way. According to him, Diddy didn't just attend these events, he orchestrated them.
Talk about how he using drugs, he was never like that. Smoking cigarettes, smoking weed and everything like that. He turned into something that you could consider a monster, bruh. He may have been doing a couple of things here and there with women, stuff like that in New York, but the things that there's talking about that he was doing, bringing in prostitutes to have sex with his girl and all that stuff like that, we know that to be true. And it's just this situation, man, when they get down to all the facts and all what happened, he may belong in jail, bruh.
The prosecution's jaws were practically on the floor. Their entire strategy had focused on the civil accusations against Diddy, but Marcus introduced a darker, more intricate web of manipulation and control. He described a network built on loyalty purchased with fear and wealth, sustained by silence and protected by an army of lawyers and fixers. But it wasn't just what Marcus said, it was how he said it. He didn't sound angry. He didn't sound bitter. He sounded tired, as if carrying the weight of these secrets had finally broken him down. And perhaps that's what made it more powerful. He spoke like a man who had nothing left to lose, like someone who had once believed in the empire he helped protect, only to watch it rot from the inside. Diddy's lawyers objected repeatedly. They argued relevance, they argued hearsay, but the judge allowed much of it through. Marcus was speaking from direct experience, and his stories were painting a chilling picture. The defense tried to frame him as a disgruntled ex-employee, someone with an axe to grind. But then came the audio clip. Marcus had brought a recording, one made secretly long ago, from a burner phone he kept hidden from even his fellow guards. On it, a voice eerily similar to Diddy's could be heard discussing loose ends and cleaning house. While not overtly incriminating on its own, the audio's tone was disturbing.
With drugs and all the stuff that's going on, pills, drinking, it can make this man into a monster, and that's what it did, bro. They was heavy into beating women and doing things at that age, at that crazy stage. That's gonna make him think that he could get away with the same thing that they was getting away with back then. He learned. I'm assuming he learned it from them. Let me put that. And I'm not gonna say alleged because I saw that for my own self. My man was with me, Slick was with me, and we saw that for our own self.
It wasn't rap bravado. It was quiet, calm, measured, calculated. Courtroom observers stared in disbelief as the clip played. The jurors looked shaken. Diddy sat completely still, but his right foot, previously tapping in rhythm, stopped dead. At that point, media outside the courthouse erupted. News vans scrambled for coverage. Social media exploded with hashtags. And inside the court, the judge called a brief recess. During that break, Diddy's legal team huddled with him in a tight circle. Cameras caught the scene. His attorney whispering into his ear while Diddy's face looked tense and haunted. There was no smirk, no swagger, just calculation. He knew what Marcus's testimony meant. It wasn't just about guilt or innocence anymore. It was about perception. And perception, in the court of public opinion, was already shifting like a landslide. When the session resumed, the defense tried to pivot. They brought up Marcus's past, a misdemeanor assault from years ago, a dispute over an ex-girlfriend, a bankruptcy filing. But none of it stuck. The jury had seen what they had seen. They had heard what they had heard. And Marcus, despite his flaws, had already done the damage. As he left the stand, he didn't look back at Diddy. He walked out slowly, methodically, like a man finally shedding the armor he'd worn for far too long. And for a moment, the courtroom didn't move. It was as if no one dared breathe. The ripple effects were immediate. Celebrities previously seen at Diddy's parties began scrubbing their social media accounts. Attorneys for unrelated cases involving the music mogul suddenly filed requests for discovery extensions. Civil suits that had once gone quiet were now resurrected. But inside that courtroom, what lingered most wasn't the bombshells or the recordings. It was the fear. The realization that everything that had once been whispered behind closed doors might now come roaring into the light. And it all started with a man no one expected to talk. Courtroom chaos wasn't just a headline. It was real. It was unfolding live. And for Sean Diddy Combs, this wasn't just a trial. This was the reckoning.